Welcome everyone. Today we'll be talking about 3D animations in O3DE engine, more specifically the AnimGraph. This is what you will be able to do if you follow the entire tutorial. You'll be able to shift between two machine states, the walking and the crouch, and you'll be able to merge or blend all the animations. You will start by downloading a character for Mixamo or any other source, or you can create your own character. Since this is just a demonstration, we will download a character that is available for everyone, as well as the animations. In my case, I just downloaded the Action Adventure pack, which has most of the movements that we'll use. I also downloaded the Locomotion pack. For crouching, you will need two more, the crouch walking and the crouch idle, which are not included in the previous two packs. You open your 3D engine, you create a new entity called character. Inside it you create the camera controls and the camera. For now you won't need it, but it's good to have a good organization and separation of responsibilities. So inside the character you add the AnimGraph and the actor. These are what we're going to do. Start by opening the AnimGraph and you load the character that you want to work with. Again, it doesn't need to be this one, it can be any character that you want. You then open the motion set and you open, you don't need to open all the animations, but open at least two and save the motion set. Then you open the AnimGraph and do the same thing. You don't need, for now you just need to save both of them. Save the AnimGraph and save the motion set. Then go back to O3DE engine and reference both of them. This will prevent any kind of error. So now you're ready to work. You're going to notice that the animations are in a cycle. They are like rolling back. The root node has not been selected yet. So you just press the root node, you save the motion. This alone will fix all the animations. Unfortunately, you have to do this every time you add a new motion or a new animation. You have to do this manually. In case you close your Emotion FX Animator editor, O3DE engine has a small bug here. It is constantly creating a new default folder on motion sets, so ideally you just delete the one that is empty, so you don't have any kind of issues. Regarding the preparation of animations, this is what we need. And for now you just need three animations: the idle, the walking and the running. You do the same thing for all of them. So now in the AnimGraph, get rid of that graph node and add a state machine. This is where you put or you split all your logic. And we're going to split the standing and the crouch logic into each state machine. At the end of the video, I will show you how you shift between standing and crouch. So for now, you just open the standing state machine. You get rid of these nodes, you don't need them, and you add a blend tree. So for now, we're just going to add one parameter, which is called speed. This will control the three animations between you being idle or the character being idle. It is walking or it's running. Once you save, you will notice that the speed will appear in the parameters node, and we will add a smoothing node, a range mapper node, and the blend space 2D node. The responsibility of the smoothing is to control how fast you're going to shift between one animation to the other. So if you want to have a smoother transition, you increase or decrease the value. And the range mapper, in practice, you wouldn't need it for now, but I always put it there, so in case in the future if I want to change the input to the output, we already have the node there. So in other words, the responsibility of the range remapper is, for example, if you had an input that is -1 and you want to pass it as an output as -100, that node will allow you to do that. You double click the blend space 2D and press Add Motion and Set Coordinates. This is where you add your animations into the blend space, and you also have the ability to adjust the values between each animation. For this example, I've set the X values to 0, 0.5 and 1, being 0 idle, walking 0.5 and running is 1. Then you need to set the X-axis evaluator to move speed. This means that X controls the speed. We're also going to put the Y to control the travel direction, which is what we are going to do next, but you can set it already. The sync node, you are going to set it to event track based, and the sync leader motion, I usually set it to idle, but if for some reason in the future you have complications, you can try and change the sync leader motion to another one. That sometimes helps. If the animation is not working, just restart the Motion FX Animator editor. It sometimes helps. And remember the bug. If the motion set creates the default folder again, just go to press the empty default folder and delete it, and it should be working. You go back to the AnimGraph now, and you're going to add still inside the standing state machine, we are going to add the Y direction or the Y axis. This Y axis is going to control if you turn to the left or turn to the right. You're going to need a new parameter. In this case we call it direction. You can call this variable whatever you want, but just remember that this specific name you're going to use it later on your code or on your graph nodes or script canvas or even C++. Now that we have the graph nodes ready, we go back to the motion sets, and we need to add the left and right strafe for both walking and running. It doesn't need to be strafe, it can be walking or running to the left. You do the same thing, you extract the root motion and the rotation extraction and capture its changes. You need to do this for every single motion that you have. If things are not working as expected, it's probably because you skip a step on the motion set. You go back to the AnimGraph. Notice that if you do not delete the folder default, it's not going to work. You're going to select the preview with and you choose the other folder. You need to adjust the values. Again, the values that I'm using is 0 for idle in the X, 0.5 for walking, 1 for running. The Y-axis is for direction, 0 is forward or backward, which if you want to add one more animation, you can go backward. -1 is left and 1 is right. If later on you need to shift this, you can come back here and switch between left and right, -1 and 1. Had to go back and change the output to -1. We could stop here. You have the basics all done. If you can finish this, you have all the basics of AnimGraph. But we are going one step further and cover the transition between machine states. In other words, we're going to cover how to transition between standing and crouch input. So you add an arrow from standing to crouch. The orientation of the arrow is important, so in this case you are going from standing to crouch. You press that arrow and you add a parameter condition. And to control that parameter condition, we're going to need a new parameter. So that crouch has the responsibility to shift between standing and crouch. You then assign that parameter to the condition and you set the test condition to equal 1. So when you press that button, it's going to be 1. Now we save everything, we save the AnimGraph so we don't lose our progress. We open the crouch state machine, we create the blend tree, and we do the exact same logic as we did before. The concept is the same. There's not really anything new. Inside the blend tree you have the blend space 2D with the supporting nodes, smoothing and ranging mapper for X and Y, which are the speed and direction. you set the X evaluators and the Y evaluators and the sinks. At this point, when I was doing the tutorial, I noticed that I didn't have all the animations that I needed, so I had to go back to Maximo and download a few more. But you should already have all of the animations that you need in your case. Prepare those animations by setting the extract root motion, the rotation extraction, the capture weight changes. Then you go back to the blend space 2D, and now you can set the idle, the sync leader motion to the idle, and now you can add all the animations. I'm going to use the same logic here, so we don't confuse things. X, which is the speed, 0 is idle, and 1 is moving forward. For the Y, which is the direction, we're going to set 0 as forward or backward, 1 is for right, -1 is for left. Now when we test it, we can check if everything is working or not. Again, if it is not working, check the preview width if it is default. Check your motion set if it has 2 folders or 1 folder. Sometimes restarting the Motion FX Animator editor also helps, but those are the 2 things that you should always remember when working with this. The final thing that is missing is return back to the standing machine state from the crouch state. So you do the same thing. You add a new arrow in the opposite direction and the parameter condition when the crouch is lower than 1. Now when you test, you're going to see that it goes back and forth. And this is how you can shift between the state machines. So the last point that I would like to talk to you for your consideration is try to split as many responsibilities as possible. So in this case, I'm using state machines to shift between one state and the other. So I can use the same inputs with different animations. How far can you go? This depends a little bit you and your team. But as an example of more things that you can do beyond this tutorial, this is an older example that I've done, which covers jumping, crouching, sliding, sprinting, and at least one cast, which is a spell cast. This was connected to a completely different project, but notice that I tried to separate it with the different state machines, so I have more control. So if, for example, if you don't need crouching on an NPC, you can just make a copy of this AnimGraph. You simply delete that state machine and it will still work. If you're just starting from scratch, I advise you to split your logic as much as possible. These were the main topics that I wanted to cover on this tutorial. I hope it helps at least one person to get started or to solve at least one problem. I hope you liked it. I will see you in the next video.